Legacy Maker, the All Sports Network.
Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to one-on-one at Legacy Maker Sports Network.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Quick Ones. That's right, one-on-one here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network, the Quick Ones edition. We've been bringing you, ladies and gentlemen, our power rankings in the NFL season. We have made it to week 5 already. Can you believe that we've made it to week 5 already? I will say this, it's been, and we said it last week, fun NFL season so far. Just loads of fun. It's been loads of fun. And every week has been a surprise. You know, last week I had a great week and went, week 3 I went 13-3. And then week 4 I went 8-8. So it humbles you real quick. We'll see how things go this week and week 5. So hopefully I can have another bounce back week, man. I'm sitting there like towards the middle of the pack, maybe a little bit teetering towards the bottom, man, in the network predictions, and I can't have that. So I got to make sure I get myself, back out of the basement here. But once again, we just truly appreciate everybody who's been tuning in and watching so far. We've had a really good time doing this and bringing you these, power rankings. So this is probably the most fun I've had on my own doing, doing this type of thing, but glad to be able to bring it. Now, I had a couple of, Dallas fans hit me up last week. They were a little bit upset, man, like, Darrell, what's going on, man? Why you got Dallas? Why ain't you showing them no love, man? Why you got Dallas so far down? And I'm like, man, I've had Dallas in the top 10 this entire time. So I don't know what you're seeing that I don't see, but we've had Dallas in the top 10 this whole time on Quick Ones. So I really don't understand why I'm getting this hate, but you know how Dallas fans are, and I know a lot of good Dallas fans, and I love a lot of good Dallas fans, but that's how they are, man. You can't please them one way or the other. You just try to do the best you can. But all right, everybody, let's go ahead and get the party started. You know what it is. Let's get into our power rankings for week 5. We got a big game tonight. Seahawks and Rams. This should be another great Thursday night football game. All the Thursday night football games have been at least interesting, if not good. The only one, maybe the exception, was, the Texans and the Panthers, but that was good for most of the game until, the Panthers pulled out. But let's see what the Rams and the Seahawks give us tonight. But before all of that fun stuff, let's go ahead, ladies and gentlemen, because you know what time it is. Let's start off with the bottom. All right, so here are the bottom 12 teams heading into week 5. The Jacksonville Jaguars, ladies and gentlemen. They played hard last week. Maybe I'm doing them dirty by having them at 32, but they played hard last week, and they had an opportunity to beat this Bengals team before Joe Burrow Incorporated decided, look, we're looking good right now. We don't want to ruin that. And a great comeback by the Bengals winning that game. I almost felt bad for Trevor Lawrence and Urban Meyer, especially Trevor Lawrence per se, because I felt like him and the team really put forth a good effort. Now, Urban Meyer, on the other hand, looked like he had a real tough week, decided to go drinking or whatever he had going on, getting some girl to grind on him. Come on, man. Urban, you got to do better, bro. But as my man Jay Quimby says, he's been saying it since Urban got hired. He's a huge Ohio State fan. He said, Darrell, look, Urban's going to make a mistake. A controversy will follow him, and he spoke nothing but the truth. But we got Jacksonville at 32. But I feel like, they've been competing, and I think that they're going to, hopefully get a chance to turn the corner if they can figure out the whole Urban Meyer situation. 31, the Lions. And this one's disappointing to me because the Lions have had a couple of chances this season so far to win games, and I thought, man, they're going to win this one. They got this one. And then, last week, I picked them. I said, all right, Lions, you got it against the Bears. And what did the Lions do? They stink it up for half of the game. And then they tried to make a little small comeback, but it was too little too late. Now, we got the Lions in 0-4 at number 31. If these two teams were to play, I think the Lions would definitely win because, they got Jared Goff on their side, who's, a veteran QB, would be able to handle things on that front. But with all that being said, we got the Lions at 31. Number 30, the New York Football Jets. The Jets came in last week, and nobody thought, hey, man, maybe they would be able to, beat this Titans team. I know I didn't have them beating the Titans. I know that for a fact. But this Jets team came in there. Zach Wilson had some good moments. They looked pretty good, made some things happen. And just like that, we had a Jets win. And so congratulations to the Jets and Coach Robert Saleh getting their first dub of the year. But it was an impressive victory. I mean, yes, some people say, well, Tennessee didn't have their top two receivers. That's still no excuse. You got Derrick Henry. You got to step up in this situation. You had the better overall team. You got to win this game. And the Titans are lucky they're not further down on this list. Next, the Texans. The Texans, unfortunately, took just a beat down, 40-0 to the Bills. And I know this is going to sound crazy, but if you really care about winning, you might want to think about bringing Deshaun Watson back. Yeah, I know all the controversy, but you might want to think about it unless you're already thinking for the future and saying, man, look, hopefully we can get a top draft pick. But I don't even think that's a possibility with everything that's what's going on. I think somebody else already has their pick. I think it might be the Dolphins. And then I think the Dolphins traded that pick to the Eagles. So looking at that, I mean, the Texans have just really screwed the pooch, over the next, couple of, years, man. They put themselves in such a bad spot. Like, I don't know what they expect, to happen here. Like, what are you guys thinking? But anywho, with that being said, we'll see what the Texans can do. See if they can, continue to grow from here. Number 28, the Atlanta Falcons. I'm so disappointed in the Atlanta Falcons, man. Wow. That's all I really can say because this Falcons team had them. They had the Washington football team on the ropes. I did pick the Falcons last week because I said, well, you look at having a Matt Ryan, and, I usually go quarterback in these type of situations. And, the Falcons were winning this game. It was 30-22. Falcons was in control. And then here comes, Taylor Heineke and the Washington football team. First is this ridiculous pass that he throws to Terry McLaurin that somehow caught. That probably should have been a pass interference. They scored a touchdown. They bring it within 2. They missed a 2-point conversion. Washington gets the ball back. And then Taylor Heineke runs from one side of the field to the other, throws it to McKissick, who's wide. Well, I won't say wide open. He was open enough to break loose and score the game-winning touchdown. And for those out there, I've got to say this. J.D. McKissick is my guy. I got him on like half of my fantasy teams. And yes, he may not be producing what you want every week, but man, when he comes through in the clutch. Got to give love to J.D. McKissick on that front. But the Falcons are at 28, so they did drop down a little bit. They're 1-3. The Giants get their first victory of the year, defeating the New Orleans Saints 27-21 in New Orleans, of all places. This ain't New Orleans team that beat Green Bay at the beginning of the year. So the Giants, who've been in games, struggled here and there, they could easily be 2-2 on this list. With that Washington game a couple weeks ago. But they're 1-3. I like what I saw from them in that game against the Saints. They battled back and won that contest. Saquon Barkley, we saw a little bit of the Saquon Barkley of old. Great job by the Giants. They got them at 27. Next, the Colts. Colts are 1-3. They get a win against the Dolphins team without Tua. And Jacoby Brissett did the best he could. He did. I'll give him that much credit. They tried to fight back in the end. And to be honest with you, the Colts didn't really look super impressive. To me, it just looked like the Dolphins are just not the team we thought they would be, maybe without Tua. And they're still a couple pieces away from being a good football team. They got a solid defense, but they need more. Speaking of the Dolphins, we got them at 25, and you would say, well, wait a minute, the Colts beat them. And I probably should have had them above them, but I still think that the Dolphins, are a better team, even though they took the L. I know that sounds crazy because that sounds stupid, but I like the Dolphins a little bit higher on this list because the Colts' 3 losses have been they've been rough looking. The Dolphins did get stomped by the Bills, but they are the Bills. The Dolphins competed with the Raiders. They competed in this game late. So, to be honest with you, it could have been a toss-up, but I got Dolphins at 25. Patriots at 24. They're the only team I think that didn't maybe not move that much in this countdown this week. Got the Patriots at number 24. They competed with the Bucks and gave them pretty much all they can handle. But I still think the Patriots are a little bit away. Mac Jones had a very impressive week. I mean, Mac Jones threw the football amazingly in this contest. At one time, he had 18 straight completions, and he was in it. And Mac Jones went 31 for 40 for 275 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. But if you're a Patriots fan, you got to have something to smile about because Mac Jones looked really good. And I'm not going to say it. Well, I'm going to say it. At times, he looked Tom Brady-esque. I'm not saying he's Tom Brady, but he looked Tom Brady-esque at some times during this contest. But I think the Patriots will crack the top 20 here once they can get everything rolling. Next, the Bears. The Bears are 2-2. The only 2-2 team that is in this bottom. Even though the Bears, they beat the Lions, so I'm not going to give them too much credit. And you can say, oh, Darrell, you're just a hater because you're a Packers fan. No. The Bears are still trying to figure out everything. We're going to have to see what they can do against better teams before I want to give them, or put them a little higher in, these power rankings. Next, the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers are the team that have fallen the most in our power rankings. They started the season off at number 10. They started the season off at number 9. They went from 9 to 7, I believe, in week 2. Then they've dropped steadily ever since then. 3 straight losses, and it hasn't looked pretty. Losing to the Packers this week, that game, even though it looks a little bit better on the scoreboard, 27-17, it wasn't that close. That game wasn't that close. Green Bay dominated that contest, and that does make me smile a little bit, so I won't lie. 21, the Philadelphia Eagles, 1-3. Philly has been in these contests, and I got them a little bit higher because Jalen Hurts hasn't played terrible football, and they've been in the mix. They just can't pull them off. I mean, they looked good in this Chiefs matchup, but then the Chiefs just had too much firepower. But I like what I'm seeing from this young Eagles team. They're growing. They got, as of right now, and our man Cody Stewart on the network has been putting the graphics up and stuff, but as of right now, if the Philadelphia Eagles, finish where they are this season, they're going to have at least right now, 3 top 10 draft picks. One coming from the Dolphins, and I believe the other one was coming from the Colts. So, right now, I mean, just looking at it, I'm like, man, this is crazy. But, yeah, the Eagles have 3 top 10 picks as of right now. But I still think this team is going to be a lot better than what we've been seeing the first couple of weeks. I think they're going to get a little bit more wins, so that may not stay the same. All right, so that's the bottom right now. Those are our bottom teams heading, into week 5. But, some of these teams that I kind of got my eye on, one of them teams, one being the Patriots. I think the Patriots, they were very impressive against the Bucs last week, and I think they can make something happen from that, but we'll see. The other team, the Eagles, like I was just saying, I think the Eagles are another team that can kind of find a way and maybe pick up a little bit more momentum. They're definitely going to compete because they've been competing in these games so far. I'm man enough to admit I did not think this Eagles team would be competing or even, looking this, decent so far in the season, but they proved me wrong. So congratulations to Philly. Those are 2 of the teams that I'm kind of looking to eventually break into that top 20, maybe a little bit higher down the season, but at least into the top 20. All right, now it's time for the outside looking in. And the outside looking in this week at number 20, we got the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings, once again, kind of like the Eagles, compete. Been in games, battling in games, but the Vikings could easily be 4-0. That's the best way I can put it. The Vikings could easily be 4-0 right now, and we would be talking about how good Kirk Cousins is and how Kirk Cousins is an MVP candidate. The problem is that they've been finding ways to lose these games, and the Browns, they gave the Browns all they could give last week, but in the end, the Browns were able to get the dub. But this Vikings team, you can't sleep on them. They can pull off a victory, in my opinion, against any team at any time. Next, number 19, the Titans. I should put the Titans at 32 after losing to the Jets. I should just drop them right on down on the list, but we know better than that. no AJ Brown, no Julio Jones. They're going to be a better team than what we saw last week. So I'm going to keep them in the mix. We got the Titans at 19. At 18, the Saints. The Saints losing to the Giants, who were in the bottom part of our list pretty much the entire season. Very surprising. The Saints team is up and down. We don't know what we're going to get from the Saints team. And the way they're playing right now, we could easily see the Saints go 8-9, 9-8, 10-7, or 7-10. I couldn't tell you where the Saints team is going to finish up, because they had points during that game against the Giants looked like they were like, man, they're easily going to go 3-1. But no, Giants didn't give up. We saw Saquon Barkley come back in the mix, and the Saints just didn't look like they have it. They just didn't look like they had it. Next, the Washington football team, coming off of an impressive win against the Falcons, because at times in that game it didn't look too hot for the Washington football team, but they came through in the clutch. And I'm going to say it right now: when Fitzpatrick come back, you can't start him. You can't start him in Washington. You shouldn't start him, Washington. If you do, then shame on you, because Taylor Heineke has brought a different spark to this team offensively. The problem right now lies within the defense. What has gone wrong with this Washington football team defense, where everybody, including myself, talked about how good this defense was going to be coming into this season? They knew it. We've seen what they can bring. Now, maybe it's just early and they're still trying to figure it out, but they better figure it out soon, because the way Dallas is playing right now, boy, oh boy, Washington going to be in trouble when that game comes around. Next, number 16, the 49ers. 49ers was a tough one to the Seahawks, but that's a rivalry game. Jimmy Garoppolo goes down with an injury. Trey Lance comes in, not probably getting a lot of, first team reps, obviously, last week. So if Garoppolo is out again this week, it'd be very interesting to see what Trey Lance could do as a starter. We saw what Justin Fields looks like as a whole week, maybe, getting a little bit more reps as a first team quarterback. And we saw what performance he had against the Lions. Maybe we see that this week, for the 49ers. And Trey Lance as they take on the Cardinals. It's going to be a tough matchup, though, because the Cardinals are cooking right now. They are cooking right now. So there it is. That's our outside looking in: Vikings, Titans, Saints, Washington football team, and the 49ers on the outside looking in. All right, so now we get to the top part, the top half of our power ranking countdown. Let's go ahead and get the party started. You know how this goes. Number 15, the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks come in at 2-2, but a very impressive win against a very tough 49ers team, winning by, I think it was 28-15. Don't get me to lie to you. I want to make sure I give you the right score. So they win 28-21, but the Seahawks pretty much handled this contest. They were in pretty much control. That great play by Russell Wilson, scrambling from his left to his right, doing a spin move and throwing it into the end zone for a touchdown. Classic Russell Wilson. Classic. But we got the Seahawks at 15. Next, the Kansas City Chiefs. We got the Chiefs at 14. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out, this Chiefs team, because they struggled early against the Eagles and then were able to kind of bounce back. So they kind of got their footing and then eventually got themselves where they needed to be. But it was a struggle. And then, Pat Mahomes and the crew turned it on. We finally got to see Tyreek Hill this season. The Tyreek Hill we're used to seeing, as he had 3 touchdowns in the contest. Chiefs 2-2. We got him at number 14. Next one, the Denver Broncos. Now, we had Denver in the top 10 last week at number 10. They dropped 3 slots. They're 3-1. Wanted to keep them in this top 15 because you know what? They played, even though I feel like if Teddy Bridgewater was in this contest, we would have seen a different outcome, if I had to be honest, because the Broncos defense kind of held Lamar in check for the majority of this game. And I feel like if offensively the Broncos had a better, some leadership quality on there, we could have seen the Broncos win this game. But nevertheless, the Ravens win that one, and the Broncos on our countdown drop from 10 to 13. Next, we got the Oakland Raiders. Oakland Raiders take a little bit of a drop. They took it was a little bit of a beating that they took against the Chargers, and the Chargers team really came out to play, came out there and did their thing. I have nothing negative to say about that Chargers team at the current time. But the Raiders dropped from They've been in the land of the undefeateds, and we lost a lot of undefeateds this week. Broncos, Panthers, Raiders, and Rams. So we lost 4 undefeateds this week when there was 5. So there's only 1 left, but we won't get too deep into that just yet. The Raiders are 3-1. We got them at 12. See if they can crawl back this week. The Raiders this week take on the Bears. And this is a good opportunity for them to bounce back. We'll see what they can do. Number 11, the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers were in the beginning part of this game when Sam Darnold was, out here doing his thing. Sam Darnold, had 2 rushing touchdowns. Sam Darnold leads the league at the current time in rushing touchdowns. That's something I don't think anybody who we would thought we would hear. Sam Darnold is leading the league in rushing touchdowns, but it just wasn't enough. This Dallas Cowboy offense looked phenomenal, and the defense really stepped up. When Darnold kind of went down a little bit and he came back, it just wasn't enough. Trayvon Diggs, who's becoming a superstar in front of our eyes on that Dallas defense, leading the league in interceptions. There's something about that Dallas team. Tough week for Carolina, but they showed out early, but late, it was all Dallas. We got Carolina at number 11. Number 10. The Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals are 3-1, y'all. And I had Cincinnati going, I think, in the season 10-7, or I believe 9-8. And this Cincinnati team, maybe you see some of the games and you say, well, they haven't really played. They played Jacksonville, but they had to come back and beat Jacksonville. They lost to the Bears. They beat the Steelers. This Bengals team has really I would say they've played better here in the last couple of weeks. They beat a tough Vikings team. And so right now they're 3-1. And this week is their biggest test as they take on Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. So I'm intrigued to see what Joe Burrow does against the reigning MVP this week and to see if the Packers can continue their hot streak as they're 3-0 they're winning in the 3-0 in the last couple of weeks. So Cincinnati at 10, like what I'm seeing from the Bengals, see if they can shock the world again this week and beat the Green Bay Packers and maybe move to 4-1. Next at number 9, we got the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore Ravens are 3-1, another team that lost a tough one on opening night against the Raiders, or Monday Night Football, opening night of Monday Night Football, losing a tough one. But they've won the last 3 games, beating an undefeated Broncos team, beating a very tough Chiefs team. And, they have come in and solidified themselves as a very tough team. And we're going to see what the Ravens can continue to do. I like what I see from the Ravens, and I think the Ravens are going to keep pushing the envelope here in a very tough AFC North where the Bengals, Ravens, and the Browns are all 3-1. It's crazy. Next one, speaking of the Chargers, a couple of minutes ago, the Chargers are 3-1, and we got the Chargers atop of the AFC West, as our man Jay Quimby predicted. Top of the AFC West, in a very tough AFC West where 3 of the teams are 3-1 and the Chiefs are 2-2 in last place in that division, which still doesn't sound right. But we do have the Chargers at number 8. Chargers look good against the Raiders on Monday night. Like what I saw from Herbert and the boys, they're going to continue to do their thing. So I'm intrigued to see what this Chargers team does, this week against the Browns. Very tough matchup. Big 3-1 matchup. Winner of this game is going to put themselves in a really good spot, especially in the AFC, because it could become a tiebreaker down the road. Next one, number 7, the Green Bay Packers. Now, my boy Jay Quimby said, Darrell, you got Green Bay at number 7? Yeah, I do. The Packers are still kind of climbing their way back up on my list because that defeat to New Orleans left a bad taste in my mouth. So I still like what I'm seeing from Green Bay. Big win against the Browns. If they win this week against the Bengals, I'm probably going to put them in the top 5. They're not going to be number 1, but we'll see if they can beat a very tough Bengals team. Another 3-1 matchup between the two teams and see if they can do. If they can make that happen, then I'm definitely probably going to be looking to put them in the top 5. But we'll see. We'll see. Aaron Rodgers and the crew look pretty good against Pittsburgh. They made it look effortless. We saw throwback Randall Cobb. I like what I saw there. Packers at 7. At 6, the Dallas Cowboys. All right, Dallas fans, I know you want to let me have it. Darrell, did you see what Dallas did last week? I can hear him now. Darrell, 36-28, man. We dominated. Look at Dak, man. Dak, Maybe not great pass game, had 4 touchdowns, man. Zeke was killing it. Zeke had 20 carries for 143 yards and a touchdown, man. Amari Cooper got hurt, came back in the game, 3 receptions, 69 yards and a touchdown. Man, our defense is nasty. And I agree with everything you just said. But they're still number 6 on my countdown. I like Dallas, man. I really do. I like them as a team. I like what I'm seeing from Dak. I like what I'm seeing from the running backs. I love Pollard and Zeke kind of doing their thing together. When they get Gallup back, they're going to be a big problem. They're going to be a big problem. Dalton Schultz is starting to become a little breakout, little star of his own here for this Dallas Cowboys team. Offense, phenomenal. Defense, Trayvon Diggs and the crew. Ooh, Trayvon Diggs leading the league in interceptions. You know, Stephon's little brother out there doing things. I like this Dallas team, man. And Dallas, this week, they got themselves taking on the Giants, who are, always a tough game. It's a rivalry game. It's in Dallas. I think Dallas will win this one, but, the Giants are not going to, let up too easy. And I know Dak's probably going to have a couple of flashbacks of what happened last year in that Giants game. So hopefully he can push through that and see what we can do. Next one. Top 5, y'all. Top 5. We got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 3-1. Now, Tampa Bay dropped last week. They moved down to number 3. And now we got them at number 5, even though they won. But they were in trouble against the New England Patriots team. And I think a lot of motion was going into that game. And Tampa Bay could easily be back in number 1 in about 2 or 3 weeks. And maybe even 2 weeks, depending on how things go. I got them at 5 right now. I feel comfortable with them at 5. No Gronk last week. And I know that kind of hurt them a little bit, because you can tell when Tom doesn't have Gronk there, things are just a little bit off. Just a little bit. Even if Gronk's not making plays, it's just different. But I got Tampa Bay at number 5. Number 4, the Cleveland Browns. Tough victory against the Vikings. But they came through in the clutch. They made things happen. And the Browns are now number 4 in this countdown, the highest they've been on the countdown so far. Very tough victory. The Browns should be 4-0. The Browns probably should be number 2 on this list, maybe even number 1 on this list. But they shouldn't have lost that game against the Chiefs at the beginning of the season. They had them. They dominated that contest until the end. They let the Chiefs come back, and that still left a bad taste in my mouth. Cleveland should easily be 4-0. Next, last week's number 1, now number 3 this week, the Los Angeles Rams. Los Angeles Rams took a very tough loss to a really good Cardinals team. And a lot of people, including myself, picked the Rams to win that game last week because they were at home. And I just knew the Rams weren't going to lose at home at SoFi. But, man, did Kyler Murray Incorporated have another thing coming? And I guess I was super wrong on that one. We got the Rams, who have made the biggest leap overall in this countdown. They started the season off at 18, got all the way up to number 1. Now they're at number 3. And so we got the Rams at number 3 on the countdown. Next, number 2. No one circles the wagon like the Buffalo Bills. This is the highest spot that Buffalo's been on the countdown. The highest before here was at number 4. Now they're sitting at number 2 on the countdown. And I'll tell you what, the Buffalo Bills team that we've seen the last couple of weeks, amazing. Beat Washington 43-21 and just going off on people. They come in last week and they beat the Texans 40-0. This week, big one. Big one against the Chiefs. Yes, the Chiefs are 2-2, but when you're playing Pat Mahomes, things mean things. Like, you just can't go in there thinking, oh, it's just the Chiefs. No, you can't just think that. And they're going to be in Arrowhead. So they got a chance to kind of get some redemption from AFC Championship game last year. Josh Allen, once again, is tearing it up. And I want to see if the Bills can go into Kansas City and get that dub and put the Chiefs at 2-3 and really put Pat Mahomes Incorporated in a really bad spot. We found out this week on Sunday Night Football. We got the Bills at number 2. If you haven't guessed who's number 1, ladies and gentlemen, the Arizona Cardinals, the only undefeated team left in the NFL. And the Arizona Cardinals have done it impressively. It's not like that Arizona had played some weak teams in the process. They beat up on a Tennessee Titans team who is a very, very tough team and somehow, some way still kind of lead the I think they believe they still lead the South with a 2-2 record. Everybody else is either 1-3 or 0-4 via the Jacksonville Jaguars. Then in the second week, the Cardinals went, had Minnesota come into town. Minnesota, like we said, playing everybody tough, beat them by 1. Then After that, the Cardinals take on Jacksonville. In Jacksonville, Jacksonville looked like they were going to shock the world, and then the Cardinals just woke up. And then, of course, the win in SoFi this past week against a very tough Rams team who was number one on our down. And my guy Lamont Thomas is super, super high on his Arizona Cardinals team. He's got Arizona going to the NFC Championship game. And so I maybe have him going to the Super Bowl. I got to go back and look at our prediction show. But I love this Arizona Cardinals team and what they're bringing to the table right now. Arizona's look phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So there's the countdown. There's the countdown right now. We're going to go over it one more time and do the review. Let's start from the bottom. Here's the bottom. Jaguars 32, Lions 31, Jets 30, Texans 29, Falcons 28, Giants at 27, Colts 26, Dolphins 25, Patriots 24, Bears 23, Steelers 22, Eagles 21. And the outside looking in, the Vikings at 20, the Titans at 19, the Saints at 18, the Washington football team at 17, the 49ers at 16. Then breaking into our top 15, the Seahawks are at 15, the Chiefs at 14, the Denver Broncos dropping 3 slots to number 13, the Raiders dropping a couple slots down to number 12, the Panthers dropping to number 11. As you can see, I kind of had all of those 3-0 teams dropping a couple slots. They're all on the outside looking in on the top 10. Then at number 10, you got the Cincinnati Bengals. They're, we talked about how good they've been the last couple of weeks. Yes, some of the teams here shaky here and there, but Cincinnati's at number 10. Number 9, the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson, still trying to creep up on this list, still trying to make some noise on this list, and that tough AFC North. Next, the leaders of the AFC West, I knew I was going to do it. The Los Angeles Chargers. So I had to shoot it. Look, if they can mess it up on Monday Night Football, y'all got to throw me a bone on that one. So the Los Angeles Chargers are at number 8. Number 7, the Green Bay Packers, still trying to find themselves a little bit. The defense has gotten a lot better, and we're still trying to see what they can do. Well, we know what they can do offensively, but we're just going to see how consistent that defense can be and see if the Packers can continue to grow from there. At number 6, the Dallas Cowboys. Man. Dak and the boys are looking pretty good. Trayvon Diggs doing his thing on the defense. We got Dallas at 6. Number 5, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tough victory over the Patriots. Loving what I see from them. Keep it rolling. Number 4, the Cleveland Browns. They should be number 1, number 2 on this list, but they shouldn't have lost that game against the Chiefs. The Rams are at number 3. Tough loss to the Cardinals last week, but they keep pushing along. Number 2, the Buffalo Bills, who dropped quite a bit when they lost that game against the Steelers, but they've climbed their way back into the top 2. And then number 1, the Arizona Cardinals are number 1 on the power rankings for this week. All right. Now, of course, before we get out of here, before we roll out here on this episode of Quick Ones, the one-on-one Quick Ones here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network, Power Rankings Edition Week 5. Before we get out of here, of course, we got to give you our way too early NFL MVP race. Now, I guess it's going to get to the point where it's not way too early anymore when we get to the midseason, but we still there. All right, here we are. Number 5, Derek Carr. I'm still going to give Derek Carr his love. He's leading the league in passing yards. He's had a really, 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 really good year so far. And the things that he's been able to do for this Las Vegas Raiders team is still impressive. Only 8 touchdowns, 3 picks, but it's the passing yards, and he's just having the best season of his career right now. Next, we've got Derrick Henry, who at the current time is leading the league in rushing with 510 yards. And, so right now in 4 games, he's already on pace to just maybe potentially get 2,000 yards again and just crush that. All right. Then at number 3, Josh Allen. Now, Josh Allen's numbers may not be spectacular in some people's eyes, but it's what he's doing and how he's leading this Buffalo Bills team. They just look so much better. They look crisp. And if they wouldn't have lost that week 1 game against Pittsburgh, they probably could have been number 1 on this countdown. But y'all know how high I am on Josh Allen. This is his first appearance in the MVP candidate list for myself. Next, Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott led this Dallas team against the number 1 defense in the league. And yes, it didn't have the most impressive numbers yardage-wise, but he had 4 touchdowns, and he had the Dallas Cowboys looking good. And number one on this week's MVP candidate list, Mr. Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is throwing the ball extremely well. He's got a 72% completion rating right now. He's got 1,200 yards passing. He's got 9 touchdowns, 4 picks with a quarterback rating of 115, a QBR of 76.6. But it's just what he's done so far and the leadership he's shown for this Arizona Cardinals team to get them where they are right now. All right, there it is. Those are your top 5 MVP candidates after week 4. Carr, Henry, Allen, Prescott, and Murray. All right, everybody. I'm your man, Darrell Owens. Thank you all once again for tuning in. I truly appreciate y'all. I hope that y'all have been enjoying the one-on-one with myself, the quick ones editions, the power rankings. I hope y'all have been enjoying that. I know it's a pretty long title, but it's been a lot of fun so far. I really enjoy it, and I really appreciate everybody who's been tuning in, who's been watching, who's been giving me feedback, telling me, Darrell, fix it, Darrell. Well, we'll see. Dallas continues to climb, and I know the Dallas fans are listening, so we'll see how things go after week 5 and see if Dallas can creep up a little bit higher on this list. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your man, Darrell Owens. Thank you all for tuning in for another edition of One-on-One with myself, the Quick Ones edition, NFL Power Rankings. We'll see you guys next week on Thursday for week 6. Until then, peace out.
One. Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one.